My name is Lenka Kleger, and I work in the GLOBE Regional and Coordination Office. And I am a coordinator of the Spring Phenology Campaign. So you will be meeting me quite often in the next month, at least on the Phenology Forum or through email. I will also have the first presentation that will be about the campaign itself, about what activities you can expect and what are our plans. Next, you will meet Gunta Kalvāne. Hi, Gunta. Gunta is a scientist, phenologist from the University of Latvia, and she will talk about her experience with phenology, why she actually is interested in phenology, why she finds phenology important, and what can phenology be used for, or the results. And last presentation will be about the role of trees in the carbon cycle. And you will meet Bára Semeráková. Hi, Bára.
Hello.
Hi. She is my colleague from the GLOBE Regional Coordination Office. We will have time for questions after each presentation. And also at the end of the webinar, there will be a time for discussion. If there are no questions now, before we start, then I don't see any, not even in the chat. So I will share my screen and tell you some information about the spring campaign. Before I will talk about the campaign itself, about the activities, about the plans, I want to tell you a few words about what is phenology, why we are actually doing this campaign, and what we are focused on. And I want to start with a quote of Albert Einstein, who said, "Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better." And I actually think this is exactly what is phenology, or what phenology does. It studies how living organisms respond to seasonal and climatic changes in the environment and help us to understand the nature and its changes better. It is actually one of the oldest areas of the environmental science, and also before it even started to be called a science, it always was here with us, with the people in the past. People were observing how animals are migrating or when the fruits ripen so that they can start collecting them. So people always needed to know about seasonal changes. These observations were recorded or kept in proverbs. So I have here one for you. A cold and moist April fills the cellar and fattens the cow. So it's one example. And in Czech language, we have many proverbs like this about nature. And I'm sure you do have some in your languages as well. So if you want, share them with us, write them into the chat. We can read them later on. And I will not talk more about this because I know that Gunta will give you much more details about what is phenology and about its history. So, but here we are now in spring 2021, and we are starting our phenology campaign. We will focus only on trees, on the greening up of trees within this campaign. I'm glad to say that we are nearly 180 school teams coming from 22 countries of Europe and Eurasia, and you can see them here listed. Except for this region, there are also few schools registered from the United States of America. This is where we come from. The campaign started now in March and will run through to June. What we aim by this campaign, we want to give you ideas, give you activities that you can use for your students, that they can actually learn a bit more about nature outside in the nature, and activities that they can use even now when many of our schools are closed and you are most likely teaching online. So these activities are quite suitable also for distance learning. We also want to support sharing and cooperation among the students' teams, among schools, and even among schools from different countries. The last but not least, our aim is to get the data that can serve you as a good source of information for your school projects, but also for scientists that use the data from the GLOBE database. Now more specifically, what will you expect or what can you expect in the Spring Phenology campaign? You will receive 5 green up activities and 4 activities focus on the role of trees in the carbon cycle. We try to give there or add to the activity some ideas that will help you to use them for the distance learning. And here this little little sign of a laptop with a tree is always showing these tips in each activity. We will send you information through a regular newsletter, and also we will inform you at the webinars where we will not only inform you, but we will also meet and share and exchange our information. Schools that will be actively participating in the campaign will be awarded certificates and also badges, virtual badges for cooperation and for data entry. What I want to emphasize is that all the activities are voluntary. There's nothing that we really, no required minimum. There's nothing that you really obligatory have to do it. We ask you to try to start with the activities, but we know that the situation now with the distant learning is not so easy. So please give it a try, start. If in a halfway you will see that it's not possible for you and for your student, nothing will happen. There's no problem at all. But we will really appreciate if you let us know how your activities, how your work goes, even if you can't continue, even if you are facing some problems, just let us know. We are interested to know all of this. And let's talk a bit about each of the activities. So first activity, My Tree. I think you have probably seen this activity because it was sent in the first newsletter. So you know what's inside, but let's go through it anyway in a quick. So what we ask you in the first activity is to find a suitable tree. Here in the bottom, you can see 7 campaign species. It is the best if you can use one of them, but of course, maybe it's not possible. Maybe there is no such tree close to your place, so you can choose one of them, then choose any other one, and it's okay as well. What is important that the tree is close to your place or close to the homes of your students that will observe the tree, so that you can regularly and quite often visit it and observe it. The tree should also have one low branch. This is because you will measure the leaf length. So you really need to reach the branch. You need to reach it from close. The tree should be also not shaded by the building. It should be ideally at least farther from the building than is the height of the building. This is a simple rule that you can follow. It should not be watered or fertilized or otherwise maintained. If it is, you can still observe it, but afterwards, when you will share your data, please let everyone know that your tree is shaded or watered, for example, so that they know that your results can be influenced by this. In the first activity, you will record the GPS coordinates of your tree. And you will also describe what species it is and name it so that you can easily observe it and share with others. We will also ask you to take first pictures with Grow Up that I will talk about later on. And if you want to get a collaboration badge, please share your pictures at the discussion forum, share pictures of your tree without leaves if possible. If the tree is already having leaves, just share the pictures. The next activity is focused on observing of the bats. And I will now stop sharing for a second. And I have an example for you. So you will need to find a branch that is ideally on the south side of your tree. And you will need to sign it. So here is my branch. You can use such a colorful ribbon to show it. So it's important because next time you may not find your branch. It even sometimes happens someone tears the branch off. So if you have it like this, you will always easily find it. And then on your branch, you will need to have you will need to find 4 bats starting from the top of the branch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not sure if you can. You can see it. I made there little dots with a permanent marker. So make 1 dot for the first bat, 2 dots for the second bat, and so on. So in that way, again, you will know if you are still observing the same bats. I will share again. Yeah, please do this observation 2 times a week and record your results to the data sheet that is part of the activity. You will first record dormant for the bats that are not changing. Afterwards, when they start growing and getting bigger, you will enter swelling. And when you will see the tips of the leaves, record bud burst. And it will be actually time for the next activity. What I want to mention as well is if you have a possibility to record temperature or precipitation, please do it. It will be very valuable for your next research, for your results, for interpreting them, so you can see if the greening up was somehow influenced by the temperature or by the precipitation. Okay. In the third activity, you will start with a bud burst. So when you start seeing the leaves, you will record it, and you will start measuring their length. Again, please do the measurements twice a week or even more often if possible. And what is important, that you will measure the leaf without the stem. So like this, you can see it here in the picture, and you can see it also here in this picture, only without the stem. Here is a nice example how a school from Ukraine shared with us the results, showing which leaves are how long. Well, you will continue, what I haven't mentioned is you will continue measuring the leaves until they stop growing. So when you come a few times in a row and the length of the trees doesn't change, this is the end of your observation. And it is time for activity 4, my green up data. In this activity, we will ask you to upload your data, upload your results, and share them with others through the database that is available at the globe.gov website. What you will need is a login to your GLOBE account and the data that you have collected during the first 3 activities. You will also in this activity try to visualize your data using a GLOBE visualization tool. Here in the picture, you can see a result of such visualization. So you can create such a beautiful graphs. You can easily export them or print them out and share them with others, which we will also ask you. We will also ask you to try to compare your data with another school or even with your data from the previous year, if you have them, so that you can see if different places really have different results, or if your data are changing from year to year. I will not go more in detail. This is really, it could be possible to talk long about this, but I will not do it because we plan a webinar called My Spring Data, which will be in May. So Bára Semeráková will explain there all the details about how to work with the database and how to work with the visualization tool. Pardon. The last activity is really a voluntary one. It's time for you to enjoy time outdoors and just to play, maybe I would say. Just go out, collect different colored trees, and you can create a palette or a scale or any other piece of art that you feel like. And yep, this is the last activity of the campaign. This is it. And I will talk a bit more. I want to introduce you the Grow Up, which I have already mentioned in my presentation. It is an application that was developed in cooperation with scientists from the Netherlands, and it's developed especially for observation of seasonal changes of trees. It is very simple. You can download it into your phone and just easily take pictures of your trees, and it will change these pictures into a time-lapse videos. So after you finish your observations, you will see through this application a nice video of your tree changing over the time, and you will even see it in a map, and you will be able to share it easily with others. This is something that I really recommend because students really, from the feedback, I know that students really enjoy working with it. I also mentioned that we will ask you to share your results at the discussion forum. Discussion forum is available at the website of Phenology Campaign at the globe.gov website. So you go to European Phenology Campaign and then you choose the tab News and Discussion. And there have been several changes. So maybe even for you who are experienced with posting, there might be some surprises. What is new is that if you want to receive information about new posts on the campaign forum, you need to subscribe. You can see here, this is a print screen from the forum website. If you click on these three dots, you will see a new table where you can click subscribe. If you do not do it, you will not receive information or news from the campaign forum to your email. You can anytime change it. You can anytime subscribe or unsubscribe. Well, if you want to start posting, maybe it's the first time that you will do it, then you just open the site. You will see categories. So you choose 2021 spring. A new window opens that will look kind of like this, but on the top will be a button new thread. So you just create a new thread, and then you will see this. You will have the possibility to enter subject and write your text, your message to the body part of it. When you start writing into the body, you will see a sign plus. If you click on this plus sign, you will see this little button which allows you to enter pictures into your message. There was a change that happened yesterday, so I could see that some of you edit pictures as an attachment. This is not possible anymore. Yesterday we changed it, so now you can only add your pictures through this plus and this little sign. I think this is advantage because like this, the pictures will be visible in your message, not as an attachment, so everyone can easily see it. Yeah, and here I want to thank to everyone because we have already so many messages, so many news. So thank you for starting to share already. One more thing to mention is a collaboration group. It is a really big group this spring. We have 112 schools this autumn. And at the moment, I'm trying to find the best partner for everyone. The groups will be created from 2, 3, or maximum 4 schools that come from different countries or same countries if you wished so. And it's up to you what you want to do. If you sign into the collaboration group, it's up to you what you want to do in your collaboration. Please get in touch. You can start by sending email introducing yourself to your partner school. And then you can, for example, regularly exchange your data and pictures, or you can even plan a meeting on Zoom, Skype, or so on. Schools also plan, for example, observations for the same day so that they can really precisely compare their results. Or yeah, many schools also plan research projects together, so you can also do that. And again, please let us know how the cooperation goes. Last thing that I want to point out about the campaign are the webinars. So there will be 4 webinars during the spring campaign. First of them is today. The next one will be in mid-April, and it's called Trees in My Neighborhood. I want to invite you to join it. I think it will be very interesting. It will be actually meeting with scientists who will talk about how to take care of trees in the cities, what is the role of and importance of trees in the cities, and how they reduce the urban heat island effect. Then we will have a webinar focused on the work with the GLOBE database in May. And finally in June, a sharing webinar where it will be opportunity for you to tell us about your activities and about your research. Finally, a very quick look through what you can find on the website. I want to point out download materials section where you will find the activities, but also some interesting lesson plans and a link to the GLOBE protocols. And get inspired section where we collect presentations and experiences from schools. We also created a COVID-19 website with some tips for distance education. These are collected from last spring mainly, but we will try to add some more. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope it will be helpful for your research. And now if you want to ask any question, please feel free to do so. We have here a message from Anna Maria that you already started sharing and writing about your trees. Thank you, Anna Maria. Thank you. Well, so so no more questions. I see Mihaela. Yes, Mihaela, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello to everybody. I have one question. I plan to have this phenology campaign in one class as a class project. So each of the students has a task to find a tree, to make a picture in the tree, and to activate application. So most of them do not have a trees which are part of the campaign. Shall we still include also this data, even the trees are not in the campaign?
Yes, please do so. What is important on why we actually selected the 7 species is because these are growing more or less all around the Europe and Eurasia region. So it is easier to compare the data. And also for the schools that want to find a partner in a collaboration group, it would be very difficult.
Lenka, there is some interference with your microphone, I think. Do you have something near it? It just happened now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it has very strange sound.
Okay.
You sound like a computer voice.
Yeah. Try just to plug it in and out or something. Yeah.
Can't,
It's still the same, but perhaps it's not your fault. Perhaps it's some, you know, interference with some other device that you have at home or your neighbors had. It can be the case. So. But I think
Better?
it's still the same. But I think that you answered in a way that any tree is very good if you know you can observe any tree that you have around. And for the campaign, we selected the tree so that we can compare the data. But if any teacher or students, they have the tree of any other species, it's still very good that you collect the data and that you submit the data to the GLOBE database, and you will be able to see the graphs and work with the data there, and anybody else would be able to download your data. So it's nice to have it there, right? So the campaign selects these couple of species because then we can compare it better, but any other data, any other tree species is also good. So that's to the question of...
I also have one more question.
Kayla, yeah.
Yeah, so students add their name and their location onto the application, so they're not linked to the school email address. Shall I, when I will enter the data through the school, through the main school email, main school enter, or shall kids go one by one and enter the data?
Yeah, I understand. I think it's up to you how you want to manage. If the students, if they have the so-called GLOBE student account, which you create as a teacher, right? They can then enter data through this student account. If they don't have it and you don't want to work with that, then you should do it through your account. But if you want some assistance on that, I can connect to you, or you connect to us, to Lenka, and we can explain how to create student accounts if you have no experience with that and how students can do it.
It's okay. Some of the students adding the data through the student to my account, but this class is, you know, applying like citizen scientist to the application. So maybe when they collect the data, then we can enter it through the page that we usually do.
Yes.
Through the school account, yeah. Okay,
yes, you can do it.
Thank you.
And these are very good questions, actually. And if you want to know more about data entry and how students can actually enter the data as well, right? Where I can explain more about this at the webinar, which will be focused on the graphs and on data entry. Lenka advertised the webinar already. So there is another question about what to write to grow up to describe the photo of the tree. Well, what we ask you to do is to add the hashtag with the tree species, right, and with the name of your school, so that we can then it can be actually it can be found by the filter, right? But if you want to put any description to your photo, it's up to you what you write there. If you want to write there some specific conditions in which the tree grows, what is the location, or how old is the tree, it's up to you. I think this is not really limited. So anything you want to write there about the tree, you can write it there. Is it okay, Jitka? Is it's what you wanted to know, or?
Yes, it's okay.
Thank you.
For me, it was important if I put it there, right there, the name of the tree. Yes.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice if you do it. The three species, but also you can put some name that you call it, for example. It would be also nice to know. Yeah. But the three species with the hashtag is good. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we have the, if I remember it correctly, I don't have it now, but the hashtags are at the website also somewhere. So it's the name in English, right? Of the, so for example, birch or hazel, not in your own language. So, but you can then add also how it's called in your language. It would be nice to see it. Okay, so Lenka is, I think, restarting the computer. So perhaps I would, if there are no more questions, I would ask Gunta if Gunta, you want to just say something in the beginning and or to greet everybody.
Yeah, I think it's time for the little like a physical break. So start with the so-called office yoga. So you just sit on your chairs or on a sofa. It's will take only like a couple of movements. So just raise your right hand up and say hello to the neighbors to the left. I have their I'm from Latvia, by the way. I have Sweden and I have neighbors in Sweden and Norway. So hello, Europe on this side. Then raise hand, left hand up, more up, and then say hello to the neighbors to the right. Okay, excellent. I believe you are not from Finland in the north, so say some hello to your neighbors to the north, to the front. Excellent. And then I suppose you have neighbors on your back. So make this one. Okay, excellent. Well done, well done. One more. And of course, we have to greeting our sun. So say hello to sun and look up and stretch again. And so you are ready for my presentation. Thank you. Okay, I will try to share my screen. Okay. I hope it will work. No, but you see my screen. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. So next 10 minutes, it will be short presentation about phenology. So I have been working at the University of Latvia, Faculty of Geography and Earth Sciences, like a lead researcher. And it's me in my everyday life, and me today, I feel like a superhero, because my duty is to say and present phenology. That is my passion only in 10 minutes. I think it's mission impossible, but I will try my best, and I shortly present what is phenology, why it is so important, and and also try to answer to your questions if you have any. So what is a phenology? In a very, very short answer, this is science or study about seasonal events in nature, and we are looking for the first flower, the first cherry, or first potatoes, or it's like a seasonal event in nature and also in our lives as humans. And in fact, it comes from Greek language, and it's consists of two parts. One is like from phino, sorry for my pronunciation, but I hope it's quite similar to that. And so it's mean like to appear, to show, and logi, probably you know, it's like a study. So it's like a study when something appears to show in the nature. And in fact, we are like a number one. We are like a study. We are trying to fix the first sights of the nature. And yeah, we are like the sportsmen. So we are trying to fix this the first science in nature. Yeah, in I think it's like a phenology is like a language of the nature. It's stories that plants are telling us, or animals or insects are telling us, and we, like a phenologist, we are like a translators and trying to to imagine or like analyze what exactly nature are telling to us. And I found one note. I think it's really nice that the Galileo said that the book of nature is written in language of mathematics. But I would like to add there also phenology. And also Lenka already mentioned that it's one of the oldest sciences in the world. And I believe that the first scientist was our like a first human ever, because if this our grandmother or father doesn't know anything about phenology, they couldn't survive, because this nature cycles was very important for them. And the phenology is like a language of nature, and it's something amazing and magical. So before being a phenologist, I think like a forest or nature, like a perfect background from my selfies. I see only like a nice environment, flowers and like a bird sound and so on. And later on, I understand that it's more than only like a phones in my pictures. And we phenologists, you see just the flowers. We phenologists, like scientists, we see codes, and we like coding. And so we these phenological phases or events, we code in exactly like a chemist. They have chemical elements and names of it. We code these phenological events in like a different ways, but it's our unique language. So if you're saying flowering, we saying code BBCH61. But it's a language and we understand each other. And so we are starting to code. We see codes, you see leaves and flowers, but still it's magic. And why phenology? I think it's, at least my kids usually ask me, why it is important? Why do we need to know it? And why do we need to measure it? And why all the time? So this is the answer why. We scientists loves to make graphs. I promise it's only one. So I know it's already evening, so it will be only one graph, I promise. So you can see here the oldest written phenological records from Japan, and it's at the starting of flowering of cherry tree. On the vertical axis is a day of the year. It's mean, for example, 90 it's March, or the 100 it's 10th of April. And in this horizontal axis, years. And so you can see in this graph that each year it's the different dates. These dates are variables. Each year is different. But I would like to point at only one here. You probably see this red line, what is going down, and we call it like trends. And it's mean that it's the dates about data about last 50 years, and it means that you see that the flowerings are starting earlier and earlier for each year, and this is a sign of climate change. And in fact, phenology is like a simplest and easiest and also costless way how to prove that climate change. And I think you are not climate change skepticals, but we still have a lot of them. And so the phenology's answer, and also we can prove that the climate really changed, that because plants and animals, they are don't lie. So they are telling the truth, and they are very sensitive for every changes in the environment. And so you can see this trend is going down. It's mean spring, flowering are starting earlier. But climate change, to prove climate change is only one meaning or using of the data. Phenology data can be used in different ways and in different fields and areas. And there is only like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, if I'm correct. Okay. Then this old-fashioned way or like a more traditional way how to use data, it's agriculture. And I think it's very important to know when to seed, when to sow seeds, when to harvest something. And nowadays, it's not like a traditional agriculture, it's also smart agriculture. And we can quite well predict and model if we know, for example, like a seeding date, we can quite well predict the harvesting date. And also to measure how many water or how many light a plant is needed. So phenological data nowadays are very widely used in the smart agriculture, in the smart farms, and also in forestry. For example, if phenological data fixed from this fluxus towers or from satellites, in summer we can see yellowing, and this means that the risk of fires, and we can predict and also like save this forest from fire, and we make this fire zones, fire risk zones, and predict this area and to save it. Also, for example, in springtime, phenologists are going to the forest and see how tiny are leaves, and they also manage and fix also how huge are insects. And for example, if leaves are very tiny but insects are very big, so it's mean we need to protect the plants, and we are starting to use chemical or something biological, like protecting something, how to protect the leaves. But if leaves are quite big, then we doing nothing, and we believe that nature will protect our trees. So this is only 2 examples, for example, in forestry. The next one, many insurance companies nowadays are starting to insurance, for example, yields from climate change risks. And maybe you noticed that 2080 summer was the driest summer ever in Europe, and there was a huge economical losses because this yields and this our crops territories are very dry, and so the insurance companies have to know the sensitive dates, and then, for example, the plants are very sensitive to the heat or to the drought, and so they are also using phenological data. I hope that nobody of you are allergic to the pollen, but many millions of people are. And so if you know, for example, then birch are flowering, at least in Latvia, birch are very this allergic plant, and then you know with flowering data you can protect yourself. And in many countries there's apps, and they are sending data. Be carefully, after 1 week birch will be flowering, and so start using medicines. And I also read the article that these people more than 50 days they are they are not able to work, and so you can imagine it's almost 2 months, and how many economical losses this may it's for. If I think your bosses will not be very happy if you are not to be at work for 50 days. So this also phenological data can help, and for the help. And the one more, it's maybe it's also in your country, we have special tourist roads for bicycles or for boats. Then something is flowering, or in a yellow, golden autumns also we have special roads, and they are many people are coming and making pictures. And if you, or for example, Netherlands and tulips flowering, if you miss it, so you miss it. So you need to wait for the next year. Also, the one more, it's citizen science. And as Lenka already said in the beginning, this phenology and to be in nature and to see this tiny events and how plants are starting to develop and how they're starting to flower, it's something magical, and your knowledge be very wild. And also, I think if you see it for one time, for example, how flower is starting to flower and be more and more flower, then you notice more and more, and you be more careful and starting to think about nature and protect them. And also the ecology is very important. We're using phenological data and ecology very much. And there's only one example. In phenology, we call it phenological mismatch. Nowadays, for example, insects, they are like a trigger is higher temperature. They are starting hatch the eggs, then higher when temperature is higher. But for example, birds are like a mean factor, but not only one. But they are starting to migrate. Then longer daylight hours are. So this insects are starting laying eggs earlier, but the birds, they are starting laying eggs a little bit earlier, or the trend is natural, or there's no changes. And so you can see this insects, and they are very big already, and then they become wonderful butterflies. But what's happened with the chicks? They are hungry because they haven't enough food. So, and we call in phenology, it's like a phenological mismatch. There is a gap between development phases. Probably it's a little bit like a more scientific way, but still I hope you understand the idea that there's a gap between this. Like a couple of years ago, for like 15 years ago, it was in a one line. Eggs for birds and the eggs for the insect one is the same time. And so everybody was happy. Yeah. Birds was with fully stomachs, and and there wasn't so many insects. And this is only one example. It's the same with flowers and pollinators. They're also with this phenological mismatch. Flowers are starting flower earlier and earlier, but for example, bees are starting to fly a little bit earlier, and still there's a gap. So bees are hungry, and there's no pollinators for plants. This is only two examples. There's much more many, and so this is one how can we use phenological data and how we are using it. And so how phenology? Nowadays there's a lot of different techniques how to collect phenological data. We are using satellites and also phenological cameras, and also this towers and so on, and a lot of them. Also digital photos and historical data. But I would like to say that that satellites are quite good, but humans are the best. And I believe that no one technology can change human, because human eyes are very precise, and only you can observe and fix and see exactly what's happening in nature. So then your kids will tell, I'm bored, I don't want to do it. Remember them that they are the best, they are better than satellites. And so this is my final slides, it's like some maybe funny, but what we want, like a scientist, sometimes I'm joking that you are the queen of the lab or king of the lab if you have a lot of data, and the more data you have, the bigger queen or bigger king you are. And so the data is very important in phenology, and this is yeah, and then we have thousands of ideas what to do with data, and we know a lot what happened in the nature, but still there's a gaps, and we still explore the nature, and it's really magical. And yeah, and so I will ask you to take part in this spring campaign and make scientists happy with the data and more data. So go back to the nature, be the part of the nature. And I believe if we know nature, then we can protect nature more and more and better and better. So this was my very short introduction about phenology, but if you would like to know more, or if you have like some specific questions, or maybe if your kids are like skeptical or a little bit bored, you just write me an email. I can maybe find like something how to change their minds and say that phenology is magical and fascinating, and it's really my passion. So thank you a lot for listening, and thank you for doing phenology, and you make me and all scientists in the world very, very happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Gunta. It's really a very enthusiastic presentation that you gave. Quite sure that phenology science also need many young scientists who would become phenologists, right?
Exactly.
So if some of the students are interested and they don't know how to become a phenologist, they can also connect to Gunta and to ask what is the path toward the phenology career.
Yeah,
career of phenologist.
Yeah, exactly. And I also wanted to like add that we have this million opportunities where to use data, but only one problem: we haven't so many data. So.
So, are there any questions for Gunta right now? You can either write it in the chat, or you can just start speaking, unmute microphone and speak.
I think it's a late evening, and so everybody is starting to feel a little bit tired. So, but I think questions will come. It's usually so if you are starting to doing, then you will have a lot of questions. So, but just remember my email, so I'm very open, and if you have any like a comments or questions, just write an email, or you can find me also on the Facebook.
So thank you, Gunta, for the invitation, how to connect with you. And definitely, if someone has some question during the campaign in the month that are coming, then you're most welcome to ask.
I will be here.
I don't know if you can hear me now. Is it Robert?
Perfect.
Perfect. Wow, great. Okay, so now I can also talk, and thank you, Gunta. Thank you very much. I think the question don't come just because it was so many interesting information, so we need to think it through first. But there will be also time at the end of this webinar, so there will be still chance to ask Gunta. And actually, Gunta, I think you created a new motto for the phenology campaign, and it is, "We are better than satellites." I think we will use it.
But I truly believe in it, so it is true.
Yeah. So
you should not tell this to our NASA colleagues.
I appreciate also satellites. I also using the satellite data, so I'm a big fan of it, but I still believe that humans are better.
Okay, so as we don't have any more questions and the time is running really fast, unfortunately, I think we can ask Bára. Bára, can you come with the last presentation of today?
Yes, I will. And before I will start the slides, I want to say that the carbon cycle, right, the carbon activities, as we call it, it's now the integral part of the spring phenology campaign, of the spring observations. And you will find them as a part of those activities that Lenka already introduced in her presentation. So it's not something special that you need to, get somewhere else. It's the same stuff. It's just in one document you will download the activity for the tree observation and also these carbon cycle activities. So you will find it in one place and you will be able to get it very easily. And why I want to talk about it, it's because we started with those activities last year spring, and because it was a very special spring, quite difficult one for teachers and students as well. We don't really know like how many of you had the chance to try it last year. So that's why we just kept it in the campaign for this year's spring as well. And you can perhaps try with the students this year. So that's why perhaps for the people who attended the webinar last year, it might be kind of, repetition, because I already gave this kind of presentation. And I will make it much shorter than it was last year, so that you just get an idea what the activities are about. And the more you will learn directly in those activities. So I'm starting. So I believe that you can see my screen now, and as I said, those are the 4 activities, and you can download all of them at the Phenology campaign website, as Lenka showed you, under the tab of download. I will also show it to you later on where you will find it. These are the names of the activities, and let's just go to all of them in 10 minutes. What we are talking about? We are talking about carbon cycle, and so sometimes it's very confusing. What is the carbon cycle? So definitely we will not be talking about the bicycles, but we will be talking about the carbon cycle, which all of you can imagine what it is. It's how the carbon and the chemical substances that are derived from carbon, the composites, how they travel around our planet, let's say, around us. So you can see here that here is specifically CO2, but it can be also methane, it can be any other substance which has the carbon as one of the components. And I have a question for you right in the beginning. Why do we talk about carbon cycle in connection to trees? Why do you think that this is important? Anyone has some idea? Carbon cycle, trees, what is the connection? Anyone wants to talk? Okay, then I don't hear anybody. But there is perhaps something in the chat. Yeah, photosynthesis. That's the That's the secret that we are talking about. Sure. So let's go further. Yes, so this is what all of you definitely, you know that. It's the, I would call it the magic of plants, the wonderful ability to do the photosynthesis, and that the green leaves are actually the most effective solar panels because they transfer the energy from the sun to a chemical energy, and they can build in the carbon from the air into their leaves, into their cells. So that's why we talk about carbon in trees, because trees, as any other green organism, is able to do the photosynthesis. And that's why the carbon is transferred into leaves and wood. And also, if there is photosynthesis, you can always demonstrate it to students, or they can demonstrate it themselves, right? Because photosynthesis, sometimes it's something which is very abstract to the students. So you can use this activity 1, the so-called tree growth game, for better demonstration of how actually the photosynthesis works within a tree. So if you're interested to students to learn about photosynthesis in some very simple way, and about how the carbon is taken into the trees, you can find activity number 1. And this is the picture from Kinashivska Secondary School from Ukraine, what kind of poster and what they did, how they did the game last spring. So your can look like this, or it can look different. And if you make a poster like this or the game, you can always send us pictures how you did it with the students. And this is the question number 2. Where else can you find carbon? Any idea? Where else? We could see the leaves, we could see the CO2 in the air, but is there any other place where else we can find the carbon? Okay, some ideas are coming to the chat, beautiful. CO2, soil, coals, soil, rocks, our meal, perfect. Yeah, all of it, that's true. So let's move on. Yeah, that's the answer. Carbon is everywhere. It's really everywhere around us. It's when it comes to biosphere, right? It's like almost half of the total mass, or the total, to be precise, the total dry mass of the biosphere, of all the plants, animals. And it's everywhere on the earth. It's in the ocean as well, in the soils, in the rocks. And the carbon cycle, as we call it, has many important functions in our planet. This is the kind of picture, how to say it, scheme that you will find in the activity number 2. Where you can see the main fluxes and the main pools. Pool is the place where the carbon is captured, and the flux is the movement, how it's going from one place to the other. And you can see also what are the most important ones, the bigger ones, what are the smaller ones, what are the natural ones, and what are the human caused ones. So this you can all explore in activity number 2, which is called Carbon Around Us. And what can be the result of the activity number 2? It can be a very nice map of your own local carbon cycle. So where is the carbon around you, for example, in your village or in your town, or around your town? You can make a kind of diagram like this one, right? But just depicting your own place where you live. So it can look like this. And if you have one, again, you can share it on the discussion forum or you can send it to Lenka. And now we are coming to something a little bit more dynamic. And we have the carbon, how it behaves through the life of a tree. That will be the activity number 3. And here I will stop sharing. And I will start sharing another one. No, actually I have the, okay. So this will be a short video for you. Hope you can see that. So what you can see is the carbon from the air, which is taken by trees. And the trees are growing. They are shedding leaves, right? Because, for example, it was autumn. So some of the CO2 actually again went back to the atmosphere because the leaves decomposed. And after several years, perhaps even the whole tree gets old or damaged by, in this case, by the fire. And here again, the carbon is going to the atmosphere. So that was just an example of the more dynamic process of a carbon cycle. And if we go back to our activities, we have the activity number 3, which is called Carbon in My Tree. And what the students can do there, they can take any tree that they have around them, and they can assess if that tree, in what stage of life the tree is, if it's a young tree or if it's an adult tree, how old is the tree, or if it's already a very old tree. And according to what they learn, they can assess if that tree is still taking in some carbon, or if that tree, or how much of the carbon is actually stored in that tree. So that's an idea of what else you can do with the students. And this is a question that leads us to activity number 4. What time of the year a tree builds in the biggest amount of carbon into its biomass? So in what season? Is it in spring, in summer, in autumn, in winter? And which one the tree takes in the biggest amount of carbon from the atmosphere, from the air into the biomass? What do you think? You can again write in the chat. You can see some. Okay, some say summer, spring, summer, spring. Any other idea? Spring, summer. Yeah, there are a lot of leaves. Sure, yeah. Yeah, great. Yeah, sure. It's that's the point, that the carbon from the air is taken by the tree which is growing, right? By the tree that needs that energy for the new leaves. So that's why it's the season is the spring and then the early summer. That's the season when the tree actually takes the most carbon from the air. And why we talk about that? It's because obviously the intake of carbon dioxide from the air is very much related to the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere. And as you guessed nicely, in spring and summer, the biosphere takes up more CO2 than it releases. And by biosphere, I mean mainly the huge forests of the northern part of our planet. And in autumn and winter, the biosphere releases more carbon to the atmosphere than it absorbs. So you can see that there is a kind of balance that the forest and the trees and the forests keep during the year. And they exchange the carbon between the air and then the other parts of our planet. And why I was talking about the northern part of our planet, it's because that the northern hemisphere, where there are the huge forests of Canada and also Russia and the north part of Europe, those forests are very vast and they really have a huge impact on the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere, the seasonal concentrations. And if you want to learn more about that, you please check the activity number 4. You can watch very nice animations that were done by NASA based on the satellite images. And it's really nice to see that. It's slightly perhaps more advanced, but I'm quite sure that you will like it, especially if you have older students in your class. And this is just the overview where you can download the activities. It's the same place that Lenka was showing to you, Phenology Campaign website, download materials. And that's it. We will also have some overview of the resources for you in the presentations. And I believe that all the presentations will be available to you. So this is for us, and also, I don't know what's the time. Perhaps we have some more time if you want, if you have some questions. We are still here.
So thank you, Bára. Thank you for introducing us these activities. I know it wasn't easy task to do the introduction in just 10 minutes because it's such a complex topic. But I think you know now the essence of the activities and the most important information. I just want to add that we really try to simplify the topic into the activity. So do not worry, you don't have to have like really big knowledge of global warming and of the carbon cycle. I think you can just take the activities and see the presentation and give it a try. So please do it. And yeah, we still have some 10-15 minutes to go, so please ask anything you want.
Yeah, and definitely the first and the second activity, I think they are very much good for even for the younger pupils, for your younger students. So you can do it with them without any problem. And the third one, I think it's also not that difficult. You can do just the basic of that activity. And the fourth one, perhaps, yeah, perhaps even for you, you will learn new things because that's a slightly more complex topic. But it's very, I was really excited to learn about all these things. So yeah, I really encourage you to explore those. And please share it with us if you have any results, any photos or any documents or projects that your students do based on that. Please share it on the discussion forum or through email. Thanks.
You can also ask questions to Gunta and to me now, if you want.
And I also want to thank to all the people who were answering my questions to the chat. And it's always nice to see that how fast you are, how fast you can answer those questions.
Always welcome, Bára.
So I don't see any raised hands, neither questions in chat. So no, one more. I mean, if you don't have a question, then I will ask you. I want to ask if there is someone, because I see many of you are already so experienced. You have been involved in the campaign for many years, and you have great outcomes, and many students that learn from you how to do phenology. So is there someone that would like to tell us a bit about his experience, or maybe give some good idea that the other teachers can use for during the spring activities? So I think we are already all tired. It's quite late afternoon. So, but I see a question in the chat. What do we recommend? How to motivate the high school students to start with phenology? Well, it's as far as I know, what works for the student, it's using the different technical things, the apps, working with the technology. So this might be one option to try. We will also, this is a bit different topic, but we will also bring you the topic of measuring a tree height. So you can also try this one to do it together with the phenology. You can use the Globe Observer app, or you can use, of course, the GROW app for taking pictures of the trees. And from my experience from the campaign, I think maybe it's difficult to do the first step, you know, to start. But as soon as you come to the tree, as the students start with the observation, they are very often like caught by it, because they start to see how the buds are already changing, growing, and that their little piece of nature is actually changing somehow. It becomes more important for them, that maybe they have been passing around for a long time, and they have nearly not noticed that there is a tree, but once they start taking care of it, observing it, it becomes important for them. So I think just if you manage to do the first step with them, then it's much more easier. But
and they can always make selfie with the, you know, with the first leaves.
Yeah, I wanted to add that a couple of years ago we made this flash mob action, like a take picture like a bird with my class, and it was quite funny pictures. There was like a day I was jumping and screaming and so on. But and we make this map like regional differences, and of course they were thinking what they are the most important part of the picture. But for me as scientist, I fixed it only my, like I see only birds in this picture, but still how it's how to motivate them. Yeah, just asking to make pictures, like also funny pictures, because we have nowadays very modern techniques, and we still can use also, for example, if the bird only one piece of the picture, we still can use this picture in the data, and still it's a data. And so yeah, they was quite funny. They was quite active. It was in September, at the beginning of September. This was more than 150 schools sent this. And Latvia is quite small country, and 150 schools was quite a good number. And also we made this second time in the beginning of October, and yeah, and also get a lot of pictures. And so and this can yeah, and in this we can use this data and compare like October with September, and use this beautiful pictures. And yeah, this was like a flash mob one day in my life. And but of course in this situation it will be individual pictures, yeah, me and my tree or something like that. And there's also, Hannah already said that it's always good that then you communicate with another students. And we in a high school and university last year we made this as it was like a distant learning. I asked them to make pictures, and we put them in this virtual how it's in English, like a virtual background now, but in this virtual environmental with the map, and they see the regional differences. And then some students was near to the sea, and the all leaves was later than, for example, in Riga. And you can, in this case, you can see also this urban heat effect. And so some of the students was in the north, and also we got small country, but still there was a huge differences in phenological like a development. And yeah, this was really nice. They really was shocked, in fact, about this, that the differences is so huge. So it's also was like a one day, and they make pictures from one plant. It's the same plant, and so yeah, also regional differences make sense for them. And the second one, I think, if you tell them that this data really are using, that scientists are really using this data, and the data is very important in climate change sciences and also in phenology. I think it's really good motivation, at least for me. If I have this feeling that this data is important and somebody are using this data, then I am doing this. And one more, last week with my students, we made, I don't know how it's in English, this funny pictures, this meme, or I don't know how it's in English. And so, yeah, and they read scientific articles, and then I ask them to make these funny pictures, not like writing scientific articles, and but just make this funny pictures and funny memes. And it was so cute, so cool, and it was really good. I really was surprised about, and I understand that they really read these publications, because this memes was very specific. And that's, for example, like this unhappy face, and it was written when you realize that you make so long time and you don't, you haven't what to eat. It's like about the birds who migrate, and they haven't any like this insects what to eat. So it was like unhappy faces and so on. It's a really nice example. I really love it. So probably you can also like trying something. And also for the high school students, it's also if you find examples where this phenological data can be used. So Lydia, I tried to told you about forestry or this phenological mismatch, and at least my students was very surprised. Oh, it is so. I don't believe in it. And so yeah, it's just like they changed their minds.
Yeah, I want to just the experience from the campaign, that the collaboration is really motivating for the students. So it brings another level to observation. There's this interesting topic of the trees, but there's also meeting another student from another country, speaking in different language. The students, they do posters about who they are, what do they like. So they like to do this kind of things. They have a very nice idea for the technical way how to do it. So I think this also interests them, and I think it helps from what I get from the feedback from schools. Wow. Okay, so we are running out of time. It's already 4:30. So I would just give time for maybe 1 or 2 last questions, if there are any. Okay, so I don't see any, and I think it's already time to go and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. I want to thank you all very much for being here with us, for being a part of the phenology campaign. And also a very big thanks to Gunta for her great presentation, and to Bára for the great way how she explained the complicated topic of carbon cycle. And this webinar was recorded, so it will be shared with you. I will send it to you in the in the next newsletter, and it will be also available at the campaign website together with the presentation. So you will be always able to reach the information. Last thing, we are here for you. So if any time during the campaign you need to know something, you have any doubts about any part of your activities, please don't hesitate, write us, call us or anything. We will be happy to help and to talk to you.